What's up, guys? I just bought this 1978 Les Paul Custom Opera Reverb, and this is a super cool guitar in itself, but it has a really cool hidden part of it that it's a Blackburst. So what that means is it was factory seconded because probably because of a finish flaw, but the guitar was originally like a sunburst cherry, and they didn't like it probably and resprayed the whole thing black, which is normally what they would do is probably put it through a bandsaw and throw it in the trash. But this one actually made it out of the factory, which is a pretty rare but very cool thing at the same time. So we're gonna clean it up and set it up and see how it does. So normally what I'll do when I get a new guitar off reverb is check to see if it has any breaks or repairs, and you can tell by using this this black light. So we'll let's see if we can turn the lights off without losing the video feed here. Let's see here. So let's turn this guy over here. There we go. Looks pretty good. At least the body of it. And the headstock is good, and that's, to me, usually where there's signs of problems, is where there's a headstock break, especially with a guitar that's this old. These tend to snap a lot back in the day because of the break angle of the neck. So, well, looks good. It's always a good sign. Turn the light back on here. All right, so I'm not like a schooled luthier by any means. I'm kind of street taught, and the reason that I had to do that is because I have a pretty vast collection of vintage and rare or custom-made guitars, and honestly, I got sick of paying to have everything set up all the time. So just like probably while you guys are here, I watched a ton of videos, and trial by error, I just kind of figured this out. But typically, this guitar's it's in good shape. It's really dirty. So the first thing we're gonna do here is clean it up. And when I do this, I always wear gloves because I'm neurotic and kind of anal retentive. So I don't want to, while I'm cleaning it, have to I touch something and then it's I gotta clean it up again. And I use a few chemicals while going through this process. So just keep your hands clean, and I usually go through about 2 glove changes. I'll do the clean up the neck and polish the frets, clean up the fretboard, and then I'll oil it, and then we work on the body in kind of that order. So we'll get started here. So I take off the strings completely. I know that it's kind of like always a always kind of an argument on whether you should do that or not, but well, I've definitely never had a problem. I've never had a neck within a short amount of time ever, you know, rebend back to its original, you know, state. So this is totally okay considering we're doing a pretty extensive clean here. So what I do when I take the strings off is, instead of just, you know, yanking this through the tailpiece, I'll cut it right here. That way it, you know, there's no no risk of scratching the guitar or you know, filing down the inner side of the tailpiece. So get these guys off here. It's kind of a, might be a good video to you know, not to learn how to make a new nut or you know, do really any electrical work or anything like that, but you know, my kind of goal here is I just put this right here to, you know, learn how to do a setup pretty quickly and you know, with a minimal amount of tools. I specifically am really good at, you know, Les Paul setups, because, you know, it's Les Pauls are kind of my passion, and I own a absolute, you know, butt ton of these things. So yeah, these strings are probably haven't been changed in, like, I don't know, a really long time. You can tell they're pretty black, really dark. It's just terrible for a guitar like this. It's sacrilege in my opinion. Yeah, these strings are in really bad shape. You can tell this hasn't been done in a really long time. So this is well deserved and well needed. Oh, squeaking is terrible. Yeah, even these, how they were put on the tied on the post over here is just like a mess. I don't know if you can, probably can't see it in the video, but I mean, this thing is just covered in, I don't even know what kind of grime. We're gonna probably go through a few rags cleaning this thing up. So I don't worry too much about setting, you know, taking the bridge measurements and stuff like that, because I'm just gonna end up resetting it all to what I know at least is you know, Gibson factory spec. So, you know, you just take this off. We're gonna clean that up towards the end anyway, so we get a fresh new look here. This is really dirty. I don't know, probably can't see it in the camera, but it's really bad really bad shape. All right, so here, I'll bring the camera down. And, actually, I'll just bring the guitar up. It's really dirty. You can tell by the lighting and the, there we go. Yeah, see, that's really grimy. So I'm gonna start, I like this product. I know there's a million out there. It's a Dunlop Fingerboard 101 cleaner and prep. I mean, you can get it on Amazon. and you know, it'll come pretty quick. So I'll grab this real quick. So usually just do 5 sprays of this on the board or on the rag. Definitely kind of has like a little bit of an alcohol smell, which is kind of what you want. It's you know, it'll dissipate. I know it dries the board out real quick, but it's not really going to matter because we're gonna oil this thing up here in a sec. So just give it one quick wipe down. We're going to come back to it once we're done polishing the frets. So with the frets, I use Music Nomad, you know, Frine fret polish, you know, kit. You can probably buy this everywhere, and you know, it's got the right fret sizes in here to, you know, I guess probably pretty spec'd for a Les Paul, but this is usually where I see a lot of difference, and these frets are incredibly dull. The good news is that the fretboard's in pretty good shape. You know, this guitar is what they call a fretless, you know, wonder. It's got really low frets anyways. This probably has about, you know, three quarter of its life left here. So this is kind of a it's kind of a shitty process. It really uses a lot of your I guess finger muscles here to really got to press really hard to get these frets shining up. But man, it makes just such a huge difference with, you know, the look and, you know, the life of it, and you can feel it when you're playing, when it's, you know, when it's nice and smooth. And yeah, see, that's a huge difference. Try to hold that guitar up so you can kind of see the difference of two. You probably can't, but we'll show it at the end. There's really no like crazy secrets to this stuff. A lot of it's just common sense, but it's more so just, you know, having the right tools, you know, to do it, and really it's just about being passionate about these things. You know, I love doing this, and this it's not what I do for a living, but it's I wish I did. It's not the most glorious thing, but it's just one of those things where it's cathartic. You know, you can spend time alone and you know, kind of put some music on and go off in your own world. You know, it feels like you're kind of especially with this guitar, it's, you know, you're recreating. You know, you're building a relic back, you know, a vintage piece of you know, musical history with you know, not a ton of effort, but it's nice when you see the end product and you feel like you know, you really made a difference in it. You just really become proud of it. It makes you very attached, as I've learned over the years of doing this. Once you put in this effort and you do all this work, it's like, you know, you kind of buy a guitar and you're like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, I got it for a great price, I'm gonna flip it, and then it sits on your wall for, you know, 5 years, and you just just like to look at it. You know, sometimes when you bring a guitar in to have it serviced or set up or something, they'll do this. Sometimes they won't, but I can tell this guitar hasn't seen a luthier or a shop or a setup in a real long time. And maybe even the last time they did, they didn't clean these frets because they're pretty pretty gunked up. We're about halfway there. It's looking really, really good. It's a huge difference. Again, like I said with this one, you know, when I was looking at it, I was looking at the photos and I saw right on the binding, right here, there's this little tiny cherry paint strip that was just kind of poking out. And kind of immediately knew what this was. Actually, you know, I consciously just told the seller, I was like, hey, you know, I know why your guitar is a factory second, and he had no idea why. You know, he was the original owner. He bought it back in 1978, and I told him to take a photo of this area for me and send it to me, and he did. And he's like, I don't know what I'm looking for, and I was like, you know, you can see a little red line right on the binding, and I was like, you know, in good conscience, I was like, you know, that your guitar is essentially it's a 1978 Blackburst, which is you know, pretty rare thing. So now I'm by the way, I'm done with the fret cleaning here, so I'm gonna just take this little neck rag. It's important, by the way, to make sure you keep your rag separate, because you never want to use this rag, which is what I use as like a dirty rag, on anything but the fretboard, because this is, again, it's alcohol based, and you definitely do not want to start rubbing the body with the rag that's covered in alcohol. It's not good. So what I'm doing now, anyways, I'm just yeah, see, we're starting to pick up some dirt here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's pretty black, which is good. It means this is working, and it definitely needed it. So we're not wasting our time here. That's to be expected, you know. If the rest of the guitar is as dirty as this one, chances are the fretboard's pretty messed up. So this is absolutely 10,000 times better than it was than when we started here. The frets are actually in really great shape. There's no divots. There's no cracks or anything like that in the you know, in the fretboard itself. So we're just gonna do this one more time. A lot of times you'll get guitars that are, you know, been on the road, or you know, and a guy who just plays a lot and never cleans it. And I've had guitars that I've worked on that I could sit here and rub, sit here and clean these with steel wool and everything for hours, and it just would feel like it would never ever be clean. So this one's in pretty good shape. We're still getting some dirt here, but you know, maybe we'll just go over this one more time. Really want to, not going to do really damage by, you know, putting a lot of pressure on the board here while you're you know, kind of cleaning it up. So that's good. That looks good. Just want to wipe the excess residue off here. So now this is where we're going to use this rag for one more thing. So we want, let's see, we want the oil, which is right here. So for this part, use this Dunlop Fingerboard O2 stuff. It works well. They call it lemon oil, but it's there's no lemons involved in this at all. It's just basically kind of like a mineral oil that does a really good job of penetrating the surface of the fretboard here. So this is a nice product because it has like a felt tip on it, kind of like a big flat bingo marker that just really nicely covers the entire board here pretty easy. Gets in the corners of the frets really easy, and you can be pretty liberal with this because you're gonna put this on and let it soak for a few minutes, and then maybe 2 or 3 minutes, not too long. And once that time is done, you'll actually see it starting to dissipate into the fretboard itself. And after that time, you can just kind of wipe off the residue, but you'll see it immediately it'll just be like a really shiny, beautiful piece of ebony. It'll rehydrate the board, and it's important because especially in the winter months and stuff like that, this is wood. It's got to be hydrated, or it'll start to crack, and all sorts of bad things can happen. So you definitely want to keep do this every once in a while. So all right, well, we're just gonna let this sit, and sometimes if you can't get it all the way like up against the cracks here, you can just kind of take your finger and spread it around. So yeah, we'll just let it sit for a minute, and we'll come back to it. Cool. So looks good. It's soaked in pretty well. We're gonna take the same. I take the same rag that I cleaned the board with. I just kind of find a clean spot, and just kind of wipe it down a little bit, and just slowly kind of dab it. Get some of this extra stuff off, and yeah, I can just can tell immediately that this board needed it. It's a little richer now, which is kind of back to the color that it should be, because it's not bone dry. So cool. You don't have to make it dry. Just wipe the excess off a little bit and go from there. So cool. So this is the point. This is kind of the dirtier work. So definitely take this rag and put it aside. Make sure you don't accidentally grab it. And this is where I change my gloves, because we're going to be working on the body, and I don't want any of the mineral oil or the alcohol-based cleaner to get on the body. So probably gonna do like a full clean here. So I'm actually gonna take this pick guard off. Which is maybe the first time ever in history this pick guard's ever been taken off this guitar. It's always sometimes I've taken pick guards off and found 40 years of blood, sweat, and tears underneath it, and it's stuff that I use is pretty good at taking it off, but sometimes there's abrasive things on there that just melt the finish. So actually just a lot of skin, which is kind of gross, and some dirt and stuff like that, so not too big of a deal. We're gonna take these guys off because we're gonna clean them. Like I said, it's not a big deal. We're gonna reset the bridge anyway. So in my opinion, when I do a setup, this kind of stuff is just as important as changing your strings. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but when you've got a vintage instrument, or a guitar that's worth $10,000, or up, it's this kind of stuff is important. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna I'm gonna clean the dirt off, and to do that, I use a polish. And I know that sounds like, why would you polish the dirt? But this is really it's more of a cleaner. It's Dunlop 65. It smells pretty, and it does a good job of getting the grime off. And what we're gonna do after this is we're actually gonna buff. We're gonna hand buff this guitar. It's got some scratches and stuff like that, but you definitely want to clean your guitar before you start buffing it, because when you buff it, you're just going to take all of this dirt and all of this grime, and you're going to scratch. You're going to probably make the guitar worse. So you definitely want to get, you want to get really in there with this cleaner and this polish, because oh yeah, even with this, it's just a huge difference. That's really incredible. This guitar was really bad. It's going to get, when we get to the kind of hand buffing part, it's really going to see some crazy results on here. So yeah, I can tell already this is kind of doing a lot. So this is really good. It's exciting. This guitar is going to look awesome when we're done here. If you really want to get crazy, you can take the volume and tone knobs off. I found a neat trick to kind of do it. I've got some shoelaces. What I'll do is I will put the shoelaces underneath the knob, right here, and I'll slowly pull up, and it does a really good job of evenly pulling the knob up, so you don't you don't crack the knob or do anything like that. So, and again, while you're doing this, especially if you're setting out to do a like a polish or like a hand buff, you really want to get be pretty liberal with putting this stuff on here, because you definitely want it as clean as possible before you buff it. So this looks a million times better. Let's see here. Looks good. This is a good way to inspect it too. Especially if it's a new used guitar to you, or it's like a vintage instrument. See, you can tell already. I mean, just by the polish in the camera, like it looks great. Up close, it's kind of like it's like the car. It's like the 10-foot rule. You looks great from 10 feet. But when you get up close, you can see you start to see the scratches and and stuff like that. So sorry, I need to get that in your guys' space. So I want to clean all the sides, really get in all the crevices and stuff like that. I could tell this guitar was lightly used. Probably spent most of its life in a closet, but it also was not taken care of. It was not maintained. This is years worth of grime and dirt on here, but there's barely any buckle rash at all. I got really lucky with here. Yeah, see, I can see it on there's some little chips back here next to the plate, and I can see the red paint here, which is really exciting. That's exciting for me. I've never actually seen or really hear anybody talk about these, but there is one famous Blackburst, and John Bonamassa owns it now. I mean, of course, he owns everything. And it's I think it's a 1958, and he same thing. There was a guy who they weren't making black Les Paul standards in 1958, and he really wanted one. So he went to Gibson and was like, hey, I want a black one of these, and they're like, yeah, sure, why not? So they grabbed a guitar off the rack and painted it black, just painted over the red. And now it's in terms of value, it's I can't even imagine what it's worth. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it was in somewhere in the seven figures, because it's it's one of a kind. On top of the fact that it is a 58, so we got to get in there in the headstock. Looks in pretty good shape. Looks like there was a new nut installed in here at some point. I don't think that's the original nut. So we're almost done polishing this guy up, which means we're going to be doing the kind of the hand buff here in a minute. But I'm really happy with this. Looks you never know, when once the grime starts coming off, what's hiding under all the crap. So yeah, looks pretty good. So I keep the gloves on at this point. I mean, we're kind of doing finish work. So actually, what I would normally do now, which we're gonna do, I'm gonna pop these pickup covers off. I think I dropped my screwdriver. I got another one. We'll use this guy. I want to see what's under these. See if these are the original pickups or not. You can tell someone at some point, might have been 30 years ago, pop these pickups out for something, because I can see a little bit of like they might have just slight strip marks on the screws, which is, I mean, it's not bad. Nothing that I would not bad enough where I would replace it. But these are the things that you want to kind of go through when you get an old vintage guitar like this. You definitely want to check for pickups and stuff like that. So, and this being a Blackburst, there's a high probability that this chamber has some red in it, which this is really tight. I don't know why. Okay, this is definitely a T-top. So this is original, but it's tight in there, which means someone may have rewired the who knows, maybe somebody at the factory just made the leads on the pickups real short, or maybe they did some work on it. But we're going to pull this front one out of here, see if we can get some more lead on the wire so we can actually pull the pickup out. Yeah. Yep, that's a T-top. That's the original pickup. It's stamped February 20th, 1978. And in here, I can see the red where it was, looks like it was like buffed or something. There's cherry red paint all over the inside of this guy, which is a very cool thing to see. So let's just slide this back in here. So good, it's got the original T-tops, and that's a huge thing, because in today's market, even I know that Shaw pickups are kind of like the rage, and now as time goes on, T-tops are also getting up there in price, because a lot of people started figuring out distortion, and T-tops kind of have a lower output. They're in like the 7 to 8 range, and this is around the time where people were designing hotter pickups and things like that. So a lot of people, in the late 70s, early 80s, when Seymour Duncan started to come around, they started pulling these out and putting Seymours in and stuff like that. So I don't blame them. I mean, you can do whatever you want with your guitar, but a lot of people just took these and threw them away. So I'm gonna get 2 new cloths for this. I know that I go through a ton of these, but there's a reason for it. I use a very specific cloth. I don't use microfiber cloth or anything like that. I find that I've scratched things by using that, and I just don't think it's a good thing to use. So Fender makes this incredible like plushy cloth, and it's very soft. I've never scratched anything with it. It's just a really great cloth, and they last forever. I mean, I probably have 50 of these, and I've washed them multiple times, and they're just fantastic cloth. This is something where I would I would argue with someone that this is it would be stupid to get an argument about a cloth, but this is something that I would be like, this is what you need. It's this cloth, and you can find these on Amazon, and I'll put a link on it. So this is a really sweet product, and I feel like not enough people know about this or use it, and it's this company called Shine, and it's a player's kit, guitar polish, and scratch remover, and they make 2 different ones. They make a blue and they make a red, and basically the colors, what they signify is you kind of start with the red, and that's for like the finer stuff, and you do this a couple times, and if the scratches aren't coming out, you move to the blue, which is a slightly more abrasive compound. So a lot of times, if it's just light stuff, you can get away with a couple red coats. But this is also something where it really brings the guitar back to life. It doesn't take anything off. I think what the idea of this product is, it kind of reamalgamates the nitro. So it's not really like taking anything off. It will, though, if you use like a buffer wheel, or like on a like at the end of a like a power drill or something like that. So that's why I hand do this. It's obviously a lot more effort. Takes a little bit of elbow grease, but you have a lot more control, and you're also, what will end up taking the nitro off is heat. If this gets too hot, it'll just start stripping nitro off, and if you're sitting here rubbing it with your arm, it's not going to get to 150 degrees or anything like that. So I put about a dime amount on here, and I just take 2 fingers and you slap this on and you press. I use circular motions, and you press real hard on this. You want to get in there on these scratches, and you can actually hear it. It sounds like sounds like almost gritty, and you want to stay in one area. You want to do small areas at a time, and just circular motions. Oh, that looks absolutely incredible. That did a great job. And that's just one, that was just one round. So we're gonna hit this spot again, and see how we do here. You can use I kind of do like big areas like this, just because I've used this a lot of times and I understand it. But if you're nervous about it for whatever reason, start a small area. Kind of test the water, get the feel of it. So what I'll do is I'm gonna do this. Do it in red first. Kind of do the whole front of the body, and then I'm gonna go back and do it once in blue. feel like it could need it. Do a whole lot. I mean, this is just, it's insane what this has done for this guitar already. I absolutely love this product. I try to tell everybody I know about, about this stuff who's getting into like, guitar maintenance and things like that. So I'm just gonna pull this out here a little bit. There we go. Cool. So when we're done with this, I go back always and I clean off. We're gonna use that polish again, that Dunlop 65, and just clean everything off, get the wax residue off, or the polish residue. If you're a flipper, you're like flipper collector, I feel like knowing about this stuff is, unless you just want to pay somebody to do it, but when you do it yourself, it's done right. And to me, at least, there's really just a incredible sense of pride and just doing this on your own. And like I said, I just like to come in here in my little workbench and just work on these. It's fun for me. It's not a chore. I really get excited about about coming in here and doing this stuff. And I have a lot of fantastic support from friends and family and stuff like that. So they know that I'm a total nerd when it comes to this stuff, and they let me talk about all my cool new guitars and all the cool new facts about it and stuff like that. So I mean, this looks incredible. Absolutely incredible. This stuff has done such a good job. So I'm gonna hit this area here. The back is really easy to do because there's no contours and there's nothing you have to avoid. Then we're gonna go do one more time with it in blue, and then we'll be good for the polish. Then we can get onto the setup. So I'm actually going to use I'll finish using this. When I switch to the blue, I'll use a new rag, because this one's getting kind of starting to get a little gummy from the polish. So all right. So yeah, there's some scratches in here, which is very natural. Obviously, all people, especially who ride their volume and tone knobs and stuff like that a lot, they're down here fiddling around all the time. So this is definitely going to get some scratches and stuff like that. So but again, be very put a lot of pressure on this. It really helps. You don't have to be too scared about it. I know it's somebody who's never done something like this before. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna screw it up. But if you don't put pressure on this, this stuff isn't gonna really work that well for you. So you wanna be kind of tough with it. For this, to get in and out of these knobs and stuff like that, you probably just want to take them off. But again, I'm just kind of trying to show you guys, what I do here. All right, let's grab a new rag here. This one's getting kind of, you can tell, you start cleaning it off and you start putting on more at the same time, because this stuff just likes to be on the guitar and off the rag. So all right, so we're gonna hit this. We're gonna hit the back here real quick, and then we're gonna do the front one more time in blue, and then we'll move on to the setup. Cool. Yeah, I can't. Looks amazing. I love this stuff. It's always nice when you have a when you have a product that just, you know, works as well as, you know, this stuff does, and, you know, you just use it and you get the result, you know, that you want. By the way, I'm definitely not endorsed by these guys. I just really believe in good products and stuff like that, especially for, you know, these guys are a small business that make this stuff, and, you know, I'm sure they probably, you know, operate out of a little shop somewhere, and we want to support those guys for sure. So this stuff isn't gonna take out, you know, the gouges or anything like that, but it's definitely gonna clean up, you know, the scratches and stuff like that. And you know, if you really work the stuff, it'll make the gouges, you know, way less pronounced for sure. But in no way is this like a miracle product that is going to just fix the finish of your guitar if you know, somebody hits it with a bowling ball or something. So you know, but definitely like the normal wear and tear, this is the stuff that you want. Yeah, see, that looks incredible. Yeah, there's some red right here too, right on the back. We like to see that. Just kind of there's a scratch right here. I'm gonna hit this with the blue stuff real quick. Like I said, you know, I've been saying this whole time, I go through a lot of rags, and that's just because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to like cross-contaminate anything, or, you know, put this one. Let's just try to really keep things clean as you're trying to restore something here, you know. Yeah, you can hear the blue. It's just a little more grittier. You can, feels like it's got a little bit more sandiness to it, which is fine. It's not gonna, you know, hurt anything, but it's meant to be like a, you know, in stages where it gets the bigger stuff out. So, all right, let's see. Oh yeah, that's better. Yeah, the blue was the move. Stuff definitely, the blue feels different. I think it maybe dries a little bit quicker too, so you just gotta keep working it in there. Yeah, sweet. That looks awesome. Yeah, just try make sure you know, this stuff dries. Make sure you get in the corners and stuff like that. Get it out of there. Not that it'll, you know, I doubt it'll hurt anything, but, you know, just for thoroughness, you want to just, you know, you're doing all this work, clean it up. It's amazing, you know, like I said, I'm probably the 10th time, you know, I'm a collector, and, you know, the market for guitars like this right now is just absolutely insane. You know, this is March, beginning of March in 2021 when I shot this, and you know, we're still in a COVID area right now, and an era right now, and the prices of guitars has just gotten absolutely out of hand. I actually got this one for, you know, a pretty good deal. If you're patient, you know, and you scan, you know, sites, you know, on a daily basis and stuff like that, the likelihood of you catching something like this, you know, for somebody who, especially like this, I mean, there's no way that the one owner of this guitar, he had no idea, he's not a Les Paul nut like me. He would have no idea what what a Blackburst was, or the significance of this guitar, or really, I mean, I could tell because this one he sold for way under market, and a lot of times you can get like really insane deals like that. You just got to be patient. You got to look out. There's a lot of guys out there that they make a lot of money just flipping stuff like this. So you just got to be patient. Whether you're out there to collect, or to make money, or whatever, it's like you gotta be patient. I keep my rags in Ziplocs because I don't want any dust or any particles or anything like that to get on the rags while they're just sitting around. You run kind of a risk if something happen to fall on a rag that you could actually really scratch the shit out of your finish here if something's caught on there, and all of a sudden you put pressure on it and you got a problem. So I just like to be as careful as possible. Cool. Well, I think that looks a million times better than when we started. That's for sure. And if you could tell on the camera, but I mean, this looks like a brand new Les Paul, and this guitar is like 43 years old. So I'm not going to do the headstock. I don't think it really needs it. The polish did a pretty sweet job of it. I also don't I don't put the polisher kit on the neck, on the back of the neck. Try to keep that as just the way it is, and usually necks aren't usually scratched too much. So the sides of this are in fantastic shape. So it's really just the front of the body that needed work, and the back. So we're going to set this up, and then we're going to do like our final cleaning to get all the polish off and stuff like that. So I'm going to change gloves one more time. All right, so I'm going to put, I like these strings. I used to be a real big, back in my signed band tour days, I used to think 10s and 11s were the move because it kind of made you feel like a badass. Really, there's a lot of debate about, we're gonna clean off these parts real quick too while we're at it. And I just used the Formula 65 for that too. Tonally, it's really hard for anybody to prove that there's a difference between 13 gauge strings and 9. It might, if anything, it'll be maybe a little bit more sustain or something like that. But I mean, the guys back in the 80s were, I mean, some guys were using down to 7 gauge, and their guitar sounded huge, and then you've got guys like Stevie Ray Vaughan, who, I mean, he used essentially like piano wire. He used like 13 gauge strings. So there's a way to clean these better. You can put a little bit of like lukewarm water and like a vinegar or something like that into a what's called a sonic bath. It's like a jewelry cleaner. You just set it in there and it'll get all the grime off it. But honestly, these are in pretty good shape. So and just for sake for this video, we're not gonna do that. Just gonna kind of wipe these down and get, you can see the grime coming off a little bit. So but other than that, they shine pretty good. just gonna screw these in here, just down enough. You know, we're not setting string height or anything like that yet. So I think at some point this might need some new saddles. These are kind of beat up a little bit. Tell this thing's had a there's some green, a little bit of corrosion underneath it, which means it's sat. So so back to the string. Sorry, I use 46 to 9.5. It's really weird because it's only a half difference between 10 and 9. I can feel it, but I also do play. I'm very used to 10s, and these just worked. It's just, I don't know, it's weird. I can feel it. Someone may argue, there's no big difference between that, but I can feel it. All right, so couple tricks about stringing. Definitely, because you don't want to hit the guitar with the ball of the string. Hold this up. Keep tension on it. This is what's keeping the the tailpiece from going anywhere. And a really good way, this is a cool trick to measure how much string you need here, is you go a little bit past the next post up from the peg that you're doing. So on the E, you bring your string a little bit past the A, and let it rip here. I'm not going to show how to tie these off properly. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, but I don't have a camera so you guys couldn't see it anyways down here. But oh god, that sounds like a dog. This thing is so squeaky. All right, so we're on there. That's good. I'm just gonna fly through a string change, which pretty sure maybe that's why you guys are here and maybe why you're not, but I mean, for Les Pauls, it doesn't really get easier than this. You have to fiddle with like a Floyd Rose, where you have to fish it up through the body and figure out where everything is. This is just really simple. So again, you measure the A to the D. So you go a little bit past. Oh, sorry. So this string, you just pull it to here. Cut it. And weed through. So what I do is I just kind of put it through a little tiny bit. So maybe like, I don't know, like 1/4 of an inch of the head of the string is poking out, and I just hold it. And if you just put a little pressure on this as you're winding, the string locks. It'll lock into place and it's not going to move. So then you just you let it rip. So you want to put these on too tight because we're going to have to set the string height and stuff like that. So and to do that, you don't want a lot of tension on the bridge unless you're really strong. So for the D, obviously there's no peg past it, so I kind of go to a little bit past where the headstock ends, and then clip it there. So that's how you get your string length when you're stringing it. But there's nothing, to me, it really triggers me when I see people, especially on Les Pauls, who just they string. They put the whole string on there and just let it rip, and it's just this big, ball of string at the end of, the guitar. So I'm gonna change the camera angle when we do the setup. That way, you guys can kind of see a little bit closer up how I do this. And there's guys who are 10 million times better than I am at this stuff. I mean, people who've made careers out of, you know, work like this. This is just, you know, I'm street taught, you know, so I thought that it might be a good idea to kind of make a video to, you know, so other kind of street taught, you know, people could, maybe they could understand it a little better, because, you know, I don't really get technical with this stuff. I think my way of, you know, always teaching has been, you know, two buddies out, you know, fishing on a river, and they don't want to know about geometry. They just want to know how to, you know, kind of put the bait in the water. So when I get these on, I'm gonna do something that. So I do have a trash can over here. I'm not just, you know, I am throwing these on the floor, but you know, I always obviously clean up when I'm done doing this stuff. But just for sake of me not walking back and forth to the trash can. So I'm going to use a tool that a lot of people, you know, they kind of, not a lot of people, but people who see it, they make fun of it. You know, there's a lot of purists who are like, oh, why don't, you know, just use your fingers. But I have a string stretcher that looks gimmicky, but there's kind of a interesting theory behind it that I do agree with, in the sense of, like, you know, obviously you want to stretch your strings. You don't just want to like tune it up and go play. You want to stretch them out. Rather, if you sit there and you know, crank on these like this, in my opinion, you're creating, you know, weak points. You know, where you're doing that, where it's like every time you do this, it's creating one weak part of the string. So I'll show you this tool I have. Where is it? Here. So this is called the Stretcher, and you can also get this on Amazon. I don't know, it's like whatever, $10 or something like that. And what it does is you stick it over on top of the string, and it evenly stretches the string. You know, puts pressure on the whole thing. That way, you know, it stretches evenly, rather than making break points. And for what it's worth, you know, I was in a band. I did a lot of touring and blah 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 blah. And I broke, before I knew, you know, jack shit about guitars. I'd break strings left and right all the time. I have no lie, since doing this, not because of this, but just because of the knowledge of guitar and doing this stuff, I haven't broken a string in 3 years. And I play pretty hard. So cool. Sounds great. So what we're going to do now is we are going to we're going to set the string height. So let's do that next. And to do that, I use another. Sorry, I'm in your guys' space. Where is it? This is a string action gauge. This costs nothing. There's 10 million of them. You can just Google or find them on Amazon or anything like that. You can't, you know, there's no right or wrong answer with one of these. They're pretty much all the same. So you want to loosen the strings a little bit, not so there's like no tension, but just enough where, you know, we have to move the dials, you know, on here, and we want to make sure that they're not too loose. So we're gonna, let's see, Gibson string height. So I just want to give you guys the totally right information here. So the official height is we're saying 1.68 millimeter for the low E here. So right around that, when you do this, it has this millimeters at the bottom, and when you want the bottom, when you put it down on the string, you want to see you know, the top of the marker here is at the bottom of the string, because that's your actual space. So if you go like 175 on the 12th fret with one of these, you're pretty much in the range of where this is supposed to be. So right about that feels good. And on the high E, the little string, I usually put these at about 1.25, and I go from there. And it really, you know, this is a fretless wonder, so you can get the strings pretty low on this without any fret buzz. But the way to do it, you know, if you want the lowest possible action, you know, we have to adjust the truss rod, which we're going to do. But you know, once that's done, we can you know, slowly adjust this. And you know, if this is starting to choke out, you know, after your neck is correctly planed and straight, then that's what you do. You just listen for choking. But here we're good. This might be able to come up a little tiny bit here. Cool. It's laying down too. Really the proper way to do this to adjust string height is once everything's done, is while you're actually holding the guitar, because right now there's pressure on the neck. It's pushing the neck forward. So cool. So we got the strings on. Our string height is good. I am going to look at the truss rod now, which really is what typically scares a lot of people. I get a lot of people like on the you know, like Gibson Facebook pages and forums and stuff like that are just like, you know, truss rod is really, really scary. Sure. I mean, I understand that. A truss rod is all about just making really, really, really small moves. And you know, small adjustments. You don't want to go too far on it, because you'll snap it. And when you snap a truss rod, getting a new one put in is not fun, and not something that anybody wants to do here. Okay, so the screw is a little tiny bit stripped. I'm going to try to back this out. Yeah, I think somebody put the wrong screws in here at one point, because this is really, really tight. So we definitely want to replace that at some point. Okay, so the nut looks fantastic. It's not backed out or forward too much or anything like that. It doesn't look like this thing has like ever been touched. So this is the tool you want. So this is a guitar neck straightness check tool. Again, go on Amazon. There's 10 million of these out there, but what we want to do is we don't want to check the neck while it's laying down, because again, you know, right now the neck has forward pressure on it. So what we really want is when this lays down on the fretboard, when we look in the you know, like this 9th fret to 12th fret area, we want just a little tiny bit of space. And I don't want to give you like exact measurements, because this is something that honestly, like, it's stupid if you're like, wow, you know, technically blah blah. You know, you want some relief. You definitely don't want it to be blowing outwards, or so the middle part is pointing up. We want the middle of the neck, so there's just a little tiny bit of space. So we're gonna take a look at this guy and see where it's at. But again, we want to hold it so it's like this, and check it this way, so there's no pressure on it. And a good indicator is we want to rock it back and forth, right? Like just to make sure that it's not, if it looks really tight, yeah, see, this is pretty, honestly, this is like dead on, which is really weird because there's not, might be able to put a little tiny bit back into it. It's maybe just a tad too flat. So we're gonna go, so if you want, how do I put this so it's not, we're just friends fishing. When you turn your wrench this way, it creates more relief. So basically, when you turn it this way, the bottom, the middle of the neck goes downward. When you pull it towards you, the middle of the neck goes up, so it's less relief. So right now we're a little too straight, and I do want to put a little tiny bit of relief back in. So we're just going to turn it a little tiny bit. Cool. By the way, this nut wrench. This is Gibson standard size is 5/16 inch. So when you buy, if you ever are daring enough to do your truss rod, you need a 5/16, and that will fit any Gibson Les Paul. So let's check it again. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, that's good. There we go. All right. Cool. Sweet. Truss rod is good. There's a lot of people who will say, adjust it a little tiny bit and then let it set overnight, and all of this stuff. Look, if you have to adjust your truss rod that much, I mean, like there's probably a bigger problem, and I would, this stuff really doesn't change too much over time. So, it's micro adjustments are totally fine here and there, and me, who I'm like, like I've been saying, I'm a stickler about this. I'm very picky. So when I pick up a guitar, that I know that I've set up before, and it feels weird to me, it goes right to the bench. So like I said before, one of these screws was stripped, so we're not gonna put it back on there. So really quick, we're just gonna wipe this down real fast because this is kind of cruddy. Just gonna spray it right on there. By the way, I smelled that because I wanted to make sure I didn't put the alcohol-based stuff on here. You can just use the regular guitar polish on this. All right, so our last step here is we're going to wipe it down, tune it up, and then we should be good to go. The willingness of the guitar gods, hopefully. So, and this guitar is definitely a 40-plus-year-old guitar. It's in incredible condition, but there's sometimes this gold just tarnishes just over time on its own. You don't even have to sometimes touch the stuff, and it can start to get kind of grody. So cool. All right, there she is. I'm gonna get one last clean rag. We're gonna go over this one more time. At this point, you could probably take off gloves if you're wearing gloves. Like I said, there's no rules to this. My hands are pretty sweaty at this point, so and I'm going to be playing this in a minute, to test it, and I don't want to play the guitar with clammy, sweaty, disgusting hands. So we're going to go over this one more time with a clean rag, just to get all the polish residue off, or not polish, but the buff residue, whatever, polish, buff stuff, whatever it's called. And yeah, sometimes when you're, even after you clean it up, after you've been working on it for a minute, you know, dust gets in here and crap like that, just from, you know, screwing things in and blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, this really is just a completely different guitar than when, you know, we first started and sat down to start working on it. It's really, that's why I love this stuff. It's just so, you know, it's so gratifying. One more quick pass. Just to make sure we get all the. Then we're just going to intonate very quickly, which I have a very fast and efficient way of how to intonate these. Since we stretch the strings and stuff like that, we don't have to worry about, you know, playing it and blah, 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 blah. So any tuner with a battery will do, which I have about 100 of these things laying around, these snarks. Pretty good little tuners. Got one with a battery? Come on, guys. Sometimes I leave these on. There we go. So I'm going to tune these to D sharp. And once these are tuned, I'm also going to slap some, I guess, popularly known as like nut lube. Which is, in my opinion, essential for a Les Paul, because, you know, some of these are notoriously known for going out of tune. But by going through all these steps and doing all this stuff right, you're really limiting, you know, your exposure to stuff like that. I certainly don't have, none of my guitars have tuning issues at all, but, you know, I do go through all these steps. Buzzing a little bit, but, you know, when it's laying down, it might a little bit, which is why you want to pick it up. Really simple way to intonate a guitar. Get it in tune, and you intonate it by the back of the bridge. There's screws back here, and if you hit a harmonic note on the 12, since that's the center of the string, that should that will match up to the note. And all you do is just adjust it forward or back, you know, depending on which way the note needs to go. So, you know, make sure it's in tune there, hit the harmonic, and then adjust accordingly. So that's it, guys. You know, pretty. This one needed, you know, some work for sure. It's obviously a beautiful guitar. I can't wait to actually hear it. And thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.